Okay, here we are at the biodensity unit, and I have Mike here, all set up to begin. There are 4 movements on the biodensity unit. I should say exercises, not really movements, as you're going to see. The first one we do is the chest press. All of these movements are isometric, meaning you're not going to see much movement here. We know isometric exercise works. It's the most well-studied form of exercise. Couple unique things. Mike, put your hands up there. So notice the position I have him for his chest press, he's very near the end of the range of motion. So typically when we do isometric work, we do it the opposite. We might have a person doing isometric presses right here, where we're weakest. We're going to flip that on its head. We're deliberately putting him in a position where what? He can produce the most force near the end of the range of motion. Right? He has more leverage, he has more muscular strength, because the contractile proteins are in a more optimal position to produce force. So we're going to put Mike in a position where he can really produce force. The second unique thing about this technology, and you can focus up on the screens, and all 3 of these are the same, is there's a big dial there. So as Mike pushes, and the blue part of the dial is his force production. So Mike, just play with it, go a bit light back and forth. See, as he's pushing and releasing, that's showing him his force production. So there's feedback here that you don't have, so he knows exactly what he's doing. That feedback becomes merry magic. So we're going to have Mike do this exercise. He's done his warm-up. He's ready to go. He's going to be real smooth in, real smooth out. He's going to give me his maximal effort, but he's not going to jerk. If he feels any pain, he's going to ease out of it. That's very unlikely. Watch the screen. Real smooth. Ready, Mike, and go. Smooth. Drive, drive, best effort, stay with the 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 effort, ease out of it slowly. Very good. Great job. Couple great things happened there. If we take a look at the screen, the first thing you want to notice is peak force production was 1,189 pounds. Now, was I lying when I said he's in a position to produce maximal force? I wasn't. Okay, his average was 1,045 pounds of force over the 5 seconds we recorded. A couple things you want to understand about that. This is the equivalent of putting, 1,200 pounds on a bar, having, 10 spotters to try to catch it, and having Mike moving it at the end, right? Couple things. Is that practical? It's not practical at all. Other thing to understand, in traditional weight training, by the way, this does not replace traditional weight training for an athlete. It provides a different stimulus and a different set of benefits. Mike is also doing traditional weight training. So we believe in that, but this has a different role. So here's what goes on. Let's talk about a bench press. Let's say Mike is an incredibly powerful athlete, and at his size, he has a 400-pound chest press, bench press. That's a phenomenal weight, as we all know. So he's got to be a very strong guy. But let's ask a question. If Mike can bench press 400 pounds one time, that's his 1 repetition maximum, what do you think his maximum force production is during that lift? And the answer is it's probably not a whole lot over 400 pounds, right? And where does that maximal force production tend to occur? At the sticking point down here. So to some extent, when we do a full range movement, we're limiting the potential maximal force production by what? By the weakest area in the range of motion. Let's look at the screen again. He just produced 1,189 pounds of force. That is completely dead on accurate. Next time he comes in, he's going to have a red line, and what's he going to try to do? He's going to try to beat that score. Mike's going to do super maximal, above 1 RM training here. He's going to learn, his neuromuscular system is going to learn to recruit maximally, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is what vertical jump is all about. Maximal recruitment. Some of you are saying, yeah, but if you exercise at one position within a range of motion, you won't get strong throughout the range of motion. 2 things. A, is that true? Does the research say that? Sorry, folks, it does not. There have been 12 very well done research studies by different researchers done on the question of strength from isometric training transferring to the range of motion. Do you know that most of them show just the opposite? Meaning that you do get strength transferred throughout the entire range of motion. Want to understand one other thing though. We don't need to argue about this. What did I say at the beginning of this segment? I said the following. Mike should also be doing what? Full range, regular weight training. Different type of stimulus. This is going to provide something though that you cannot provide in the weight room safely. Okay guys, now we're set for the second exercise, which is the leg press. Should look very familiar to a lot of you coaches. We all do it all the time. So this is a leg press. Mike is all set to go. He's done a little practice rep. He's ready to really go for it. So Mike, when you're ready, remember we want smooth in, smooth out, butt stays into the chair, full foot, driving back with the shoulders. When you're ready, and begin smooth. Go ahead. Drive. Steady pressure, steady pressure, steady pressure, steady pressure, steady pressure, steady pressure, and ease out of it. Phenomenal. So, couple things, and this is Mike's first time. Put your feet on the pegs there. Relax. Great job. So now let's look at the force production. 2,150 pounds. Now what you may or may not have noticed is Mike actually almost locked out. He basically could have locked out there. What that means is, put your feet up again for me. Even though this looks like a lot of knee flexion, even though this machine is burly, people are capable of producing so much force on it that the next time we do this, I actually have to change his seat setting and move him farther forward, okay? So that's what I'm gonna do the next time he does this, so he will not lock out, which is fantastic. But we had peak force of 2150. His average over the 5 seconds we recorded was 1726. I wanna ask you again, where can you put an athlete where he can safely produce that much force, train his neuromuscular system to do that? Think about that. What benefit could this have for vertical jump? Guys, it's everything. The vertical jump happens here. You've got to be able to produce maximal force. It's not about endurance. It has nothing to do with muscular endurance. It has everything to do with maximal muscle activation, which is what this is all about. Okay, great. The third movement in biodensity is an abdominal crunch. This may look like a pull down, but actually done properly, it's going to be a vertical crunch. We're going to teach the athlete to maximally exert all the major abdominal musculature, obviously very important for athletic performance, stabilization, all that good stuff. So let's watch Mike. Mike, same as usual, keep your eye on the screen, smooth in, smooth out. When you're ready, the fives keep pressing until it turns red, and begin. That's it, stay with it, stay with it, stay with it, stay with it, that's it, ease out of it. 5 seconds seems pretty long, doesn't it? Yeah, it seems pretty long. A lot of people say 5 seconds is not long enough. I have never seen an athlete, I've trained at least 500 athletes using this technology. Each week, they only do this once a week, they're going to come in and try to break their record. By the third time, nobody tells me they need another session. Nobody says 5 seconds isn't long enough. How long can you do something maximally, guys? Very short. By the way, when he's producing this kind of load, okay, what else is getting loaded? Every single structure in his kinetic chain. He's doing a leg press, all the muscles, ligaments, tendons, bones in that chain from his foot through his hip are what? They're being loaded. Are they going to get stronger? The answer is absolutely yes, and we're going to talk to you a little bit about how that occurs. So not only are we teaching the athlete to be explosive, we're also going to make his tissues themselves maximally strong because of the level of load that they safely become accustomed to. Great job. His peak force here was 301. His average is 249. Nobody produces nearly as much force on the abdominal component as they do the other two. Now we're going to get set up for the fourth and final component, which is called the vertical lift.